107 days, way too many for anybody, but including her.
Right.
But the more they got to know her, the less they liked her. I've said this many times on this show. Other countries don't do this. They don't have years to run. They call an election, and they have an election in a month.
Yeah, and nor the influence of money. We should do that. Right?
You don't need 100 days. You need 107 days. You tell people your plan. This is what I am for. This is my thing. You're selling something. You're selling a vacuum cleaner. If I'm selling a vacuum cleaner, I'll tell you why I think it's best. Am I going to tell you every goddamn day for 2 years? Did I tell you about the attachment that gets under the... Yeah, you did. You told me 1,000 times.
Kamala Harris just dropped her shiny new book. Surprise! It's bursting with excuses for why her presidential run crashed harder than a failed rocket launch. Predictably, Bill Maher couldn't resist lighting it up, and his reaction: pure fire. He argued that 107 days was more than enough time for her to prove she had leadership, charm, and a message that resonated. But instead, she completely blew it. The real explosion came when Maher exposed the glaring falsehoods buried inside her carefully polished story, tearing apart the glossy illusions she's been selling. His commentary was razor-sharp, brutally honest, and guaranteed to leave a permanent scar. Not just on her reputation, but on the entire Democratic playbook she's desperately clinging to.
The violence and the crime, people just getting away with it, cashless bail, whatever. I want to see law and order, and I think that would be helpful.
Well, apropos to that, I'll bring up one last subject. Somebody didn't write this, but I want to say it because it's interesting. Some new polling came out, and this is really, I'm speaking to the Democrats especially here, because Trump's numbers are down. They're down with Latinos, they're down with blacks, they're down 15 points with whites. And when whites say, you're not hip anymore, ooh. And yet, in the other poll, on issues, Trump still winning. So this is your big opportunity, Democrats. He's down in the numbers, and you still can't score.
Bill Maher kicks things off by slicing through the latest polls, and the numbers speak volumes. Sure, Trump's lost a bit of ground, but here's the twist. On the issues that actually matter, the economy, the border, and foreign affairs, he's still crushing it. Maher insists this should be a major wake-up call for the Democrats, a golden moment to regroup, refocus, and finally deliver real results that impact people's lives. But instead, he says, they're wasting precious time worshiping woke politics and chasing culture wars that only echo inside their own bubble. And just when everyone thinks he's finished, Maher drops a revelation so massive it sends shockwaves through the entire DNC. A political gut punch no one could have predicted.
When they ask who has a better plan, Republicans crushing it on crime, immigration, wars, the economy, even corruption. Democrats win by 2 points on respect for democracy. Now, some of this is just because people are stupid. 2 points on respect for democracy. Democrats win on healthcare, environment, women's rights, respect for democracy. But on those issues, I bet you that are the big ones that they vote on more: crime, immigration, wars, economy, corruption. So that's the takeaway.
What's truly jaw-dropping is that Democrats are now losing ground on the very principle tied to their name: democracy itself. You'd expect them to lead the charge in defending democratic values, but the polls tell a far darker story. Republicans aren't just catching up. In some cases, they're overtaking them as the party seen as better at protecting democracy. That's not a warning light. That's a full-blown alarm blaring across the political landscape. It shows how deeply the Democrats have drifted from their core message, trading conviction for theatrics and unity for infighting. Instead of rebuilding trust through steady leadership, they've sunk into virtue signaling and identity games. The result? Millions no longer see them as defenders of democracy. And if this slide keeps going, they won't just lose elections, they'll lose their very purpose.
The only thing the Democratic Party stands for today is opposition to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I just read Kamala Harris's new book, 107 Days.
No, you didn't.
I did?
No, you didn't.
I'd like to...
I'll say a lot of lies on this show, but I won't take that. I will not accept that.
I thought you might ask me about it. That's why I had to read it. But the point is, it's like, as you probably know, it's like a diary of what happened. But I was looking for, okay, and what's the plan for the future? There wasn't any, and she's just indicative of the party at at large.
The DNC looks like a ship drifting in the storm, completely lost and directionless. Their entire game plan seems to revolve around endlessly attacking Donald Trump, often over the pettiest, most meaningless points imaginable. Beyond that steady stream of outrage, there's nothing. No strategy, no unity, no spark that tells voters, we're ready to lead. That emptiness becomes even clearer when you look at Kamala Harris. After losing an election and releasing her new book, you'd expect some humility or maybe a bold plan for redemption. But instead, it's just the same tired slogans and hollow self-praise, showing she's learned absolutely nothing from her failures. Her book doesn't rebuild trust. It exposes it. It's not just her story. It's a reflection of a broken party, angry, lost, and completely out of ideas on how to fix the mess they've made.
And by the way, that's one of the reasons she lost.
She's rewriting history in the book, too. She's now against men and women's sports. Like, come on. Like, they tried to dismantle Title IX against women when she was vice president.
Right. I mean, that's just one of many examples.
She could have had 701 days and would have still lost that race.
But you're right. The data says it's cost of living, it's inflation, it's immigration, illegal immigration, all those things. Everything else is at the bottom.
Kamala Harris now seems to be inching away from the same woke politics that wrecked her career. But don't be fooled for a second. On the surface, it might look like growth, maybe even a sign that she's finally learning from her mistakes. But scratch beneath that polished exterior, and the truth is glaring. She's not taking responsibility, she's rewriting history. Harris now claims she's against men competing in women's sports, even though she loudly supported it while in office. That kind of revisionist spin might trick casual observers, but not the public that watched every move she made. If Kamala truly wants to rebuild her reputation, she'll need to do something she's never done before. Admit she was wrong, face how disconnected she became, and completely sever ties with the radical woke politics that ruined her brand. Without that, her new image isn't redemption. It's camouflage for political survival.
Illegal immigration, all those things. Everything else is at the bottom.
And by the way,
law and order crime.
107 days, way too many for anybody, but including her.
Right.
But the more they got to know her, the less they liked her. You don't need 100 days. You need 107 days. You tell people your plan. This is what I am for. This is my thing. You're selling something. You're selling a vacuum cleaner. If I'm selling a vacuum cleaner, I'll tell you why I think it's best. Am I going to tell you every goddamn day for 2 years?
From the very first moment, Bill Maher goes straight for the jugular in his takedown of Kamala Harris's new book, and he doesn't hold back for even a second. To him, it's not a memoir. It's a glossy catalog of excuses disguised as wisdom. At the center of it all lies her infamous claim. Those 107 days, she swears, weren't enough to reach voters and share her vision. According to Harris, that short window doomed her before she even began. But Maher isn't buying it, not for a heartbeat. He calls it pure illusion, pointing out that Americans didn't turn away because of time. They turned away because they finally saw the real Kamala, stripped of the vice presidential spotlight. When the cameras rolled, voters didn't see warmth or sincerity. They saw calculation and distance. It was never about days. It was about trust, authenticity, and heart. And on every level, she fell painfully short.
I've said this many times on this show. Other countries don't do this. They don't have years to run. They call an election, and they have an election in a month.
Yeah, and nor the influence of money. We should do that.
And that right there is the core of the entire problem. All Kamala Harris ever needed to do was present a clear, practical plan. Something real that addressed what Americans struggle with every single day. That's it. Just show vision, offer substance, and let the results speak louder than her speeches. She even had the perfect shot to break out of Joe Biden's shadow and show what kind of leader she could truly be. That was her moment to shine, to prove she had her own voice, her own backbone, her own ideas. But once again, she delivered nothing. No plan, no purpose, no direction. Just a pile of empty slogans and hollow promises. It felt like she expected the presidency to be handed to her simply because she showed up. And that's her downfall. No clear message, no real identity, and no believable solutions. Without those, no campaign or charm can save her.
You know, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No, that's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for President of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump, who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for President of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk.
And that's where Bill Maher delivers his knockout blow. He zeroes in on one of the boldest falsehoods in Kamala Harris's entire book, a statement so shocking it shatters her credibility in seconds. Harris wrote that she didn't choose Pete Buttigieg as her running mate because he was gay. Her exact words, printed for the world to see. But when Rachel Maddow questioned her about it, Kamala suddenly backtracked, claiming that's not what she meant, or worse, pretending she never said it at all. That kind of denial is pure political quicksand, and Maher dismantles it with surgical precision. If she can't even stand by what she herself published, how can voters trust her to stand firm on real policies or tough decisions? Maher's verdict hits like a hammer. This isn't about mistakes. It's about integrity. With every contradiction and every desperate rewrite of her story, Kamala keeps losing the one thing a politician can't live without: credibility.
This is what she said about New York mayoral hopeful and radical hard leftist Zoran Mamdani.
What do you think of him and his candidacy? And what do you think of mainline Democratic shyness and agitation about the prospect that he's going to win?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, he's the Democratic nominee and he should be supported.
Do you endorse his candidacy?
I support the Democrat in the race, sure.
Look, if you thought Kamala had acquired some wisdom, some class and perspective in the months since she was resoundingly beaten by President Trump, well, you'd be disappointed. All she revealed overnight is that she's a frightful bigot.
And that's exactly why Kamala Harris's 2024 campaign went up in flames. A political disaster everyone saw coming from miles away. At the center of her downfall is one brutal truth. She stands for absolutely nothing. No firm beliefs, no solid principles, no clear vision of her own. Take her support for Zoran Mamdani's candidacy in New York. It's the perfect symbol of hollow politics. She didn't back him for leadership, policy, or merit. She backed him simply because he had a D next to his name. That's it. No conviction, no purpose, no depth. And that mindset has infected the entire Democratic Party. Loyalty over logic, branding over belief. When politicians rally behind labels instead of ideas, they lose credibility fast. Harris became the living embodiment of that weakness, and voters sent a loud message in 2024. They're done with empty speeches and hollow promises.
She decided for some reason now would be the time, instead of when she was actually running for president, to say all the ways in which she disagreed with Joe Biden, or all the bad things she thought about the Biden team. Great. Okay. I'm here for it, sister. Go. I believe every word, by the way. So it's really been super fun to watch the circular firing squad amongst the Dems. Usually they're a little better about holding their discipline on that. It's usually the Republicans who do all the infighting. So I'm thrilled to see it, and I really can't wait until her next appearance. I can't wait to hear what she has to say next.
Remember when Kamala Harris was running for president and proudly declared she wouldn't change a single thing Joe Biden had done? That was her entire platform, blind loyalty wrapped in political obedience. But now, fast forward to today, and suddenly the tone has flipped completely. Free from the vice presidency, she's pointing fingers at everything that went wrong under Biden. Inflation, border chaos, foreign policy disasters. The whole list. The irony is brutal. These were the very issues she ignored when she actually had power to act. Instead of speaking up or taking a stand, she stayed silent to protect her image while the mess spiraled out of control. And now, long after the damage is done, she's trying to sound like a reformer. But for most Americans, it's far too late. Her book and her public statements only prove why she lost in 2024 and why her future looks uncertain. From rewriting history to dodging responsibility, Harris still hasn't shown true leadership or direction. Bill Maher exposed every inconsistency, and voters saw right through the act. If Kamala wants redemption, she'll need more than spin. She'll need honesty, bold solutions, and the courage to finally break free from the same broken playbook that destroyed her before.